Alright, we're back here in the studio. We got the really good mic this time. Welcome back. Today we're going to be doing a little video here about Amazons, bow Amazon to be precise. Going to do the multi-shot build first. There's a couple Bowzon builds you can go, but this is the multi-shot one. So let's take a look. Multi-shot is a classic spell. It's very cool. It's very similar to other spells in the sense that where you click changes how the spell behaves. So you click very far away, the arrows are very tight. So I will note that this does not shotgun. So if you were thinking that it shotguns, sorry to burst your bubble, but it doesn't. Only one arrow can hit each target. Another thing to note about multi-shot is that the only arrows that can proc on hit effects are the two in the middle. So it's the one that you would normally shoot and the one next to it. So things like chance on hit effects, they only apply to the ones in the middle. So keep that in mind. Another weird thing about multi-shot is that it actually doesn't have any synergies. And all it reads is it splits the arrow into many arrows. Arrows deal 50% reduced damage every time they pierce. This is getting changed in Season 5. It's going to be reducing less, so it's going to be getting buffed. So you'll see more damage coming out of multi-shot. And as you level it, the more arrows you get. And also it adds this extra damage to it. So right now it's adding 50 to 51 damage. So that 50 to 51 damage is similar to something you'd see on war traps. So you see we do 400 to 1925, and if I put on multi-shot, you can see that the 50 damage gets added. So that's that. Multi-shot, you definitely want to be at the attack speed breakpoint. So when you're wearing Fanaticism or level 9 minimum, and even up to level 12, it doesn't change it. You need 99 increased attack speed when using a Grand Matron bow or when using a Hydra bow, which are really your only options for endgame multi-shot builds. So that's something you have to keep in mind. There's two ways to get it. You either put a beast on your merc or you use a faith bow. But through my testing, using the faith bow is kind of bad because it forces you to use the faith bow. There's a lot of other bows that have interesting things going on that you probably want to use instead. So go with the Act 2 merc, and then for the Act 2 merc, you want his holy or you want his Midor to get buffed. So put 2 doll skills on things that you can, which in this case is just the helmet and the chest, and then some survival stuff. So this will increase his might damage. Perfect. So there's no synergies, and this is really early in the tree, so what the hell do we do with all our points? The answer is, you max Valkyrie, you max Decoy, and you put enough points into Crit Strike and Penetrate until, and also Pierce until you're at a comfortable level. So you can see here, Crit's pretty much maxed, and our Pierce is over 100, so yeah. Swap is CTA and lidless. You could also do an enchant on the swap instead, but because we're maxing Valkyrie, I like to be able to buff them. You can see we're gonna be able to get 3 Valks out, and we're also running 2 Wisps, so get our Wisp out to give us our damage buff. Then we're gonna buff them. Alright. And now we have decoys. So our decoys are not bad. A lot of life. And we can get 3 of them. So that's kind of the setup for what you're going to be doing. And then basically you're just multi-shotting. So it's very similar to the Valkyrie build, except all of our resources are spent making our own damage higher rather than the Valkyries. So how do we do that? There's a few things. We definitely want to have max Pierce. So that'll come from pretty much your skills and a few items. So the only item we're using is the Giant Skull. Now the reason I'm using this is just because it has the most amount of damage on it. So it has 100% enhanced damage because I got a socket in there. It also has Crushing Blow and Pierce. So very good helm for us. I'm using a Fortitude. It's the only chest piece that has enhanced damage on it. That's high. So there are other options. You could slam a 2-throw with 4 sockets or 3 sockets or whatever it is, or a rattle cage, and socket it up, and you can get a little higher than a fort, but that's like a very minor thing. You could also use Tyraels. Tyraels is going to be doing more damage to undead and demons than a Fortitude will, but because we're always testing in the Cal level, I wanted to use a Fortitude here. High Lords, no reason to explain it. 2 Wisps, a Nos Coil for the increased attack speed, and the Deadly Strike. Also, 2 mana after each kill helps a lot. We've got the GG Crafted Gloves here for 2 to bow and crossbow skills, and 20% increased life and dual leech. War Traps for damage. And then I just went with the enhanced damage dual leech arrows, but you could probably get better mods and stuff. I'm not too sure about the arrow situation. There's not that many given in plug Y to test with, but definitely go for enhanced damage. CTA lidless on the swap. We have max damage charms. We've got some all resist charms. You'll note that our resistances are not capped. We're a little low on poison. Also, I have cannot be frozen here because otherwise you'd need to slam it, and a torch and an Annie. Now you notice I haven't talked about the weapon because there's several options with the weapon, 4 of them to be exact. Then they all seem to play very similarly, and it's kind of hard to tell the difference between them. So some have different strengths and weaknesses, but basically if you get one of these bows, you're going to be doing fine. There's a very marginal difference between the two. So I want to show you the one I like the most, which I didn't think I would like the most, but it's Wrath. So you can see its sheet damage is really low. It doesn't have any enhanced damage on it. However, 60% chance to cast level 18 amplify damage on striking. So that means that we're going to be breaking physical immunes a lot on our own with this. And anything that isn't immune to physical, we're going to be increasing our damage by a lot, because most mobs have 50 physical resist, and level 18 amplify damage lowers that by about like 26 or so. So we're going to be doing pretty much 50% more damage to everything we hit, because this is always going to be applied. This also has 375% enhanced damage to demons, which is extremely high. So for bosses and for other demons, you can see, this bow has 300 normal enhanced damage, and you can see the range on it is 59 to 319. So put that in perspective, against demons, this bow does have very high sheet damage. It also has 289 to undead, so this is a variable one. But that alone also means that it's kind of like Tyraels in the sense where it's doing a lot more damage than it says on the sheet. So that's really good. It also adds some magic and some lightning damage, and it has some crushing blow. Prevent monster heal is neat, but not really that necessary. Cannot be frozen, so if you use a Wrath, you don't have to worry about slamming cannot be frozen in a Wisp or War Travelers, so that accounts for a lot of high runes. So overall, I just prefer Wrath, and we'll test them all out, but there's a few of them that are still good that you get your hands on. Wrath is not that expensive. You'll notice it's just a burr rune. I mean, Mal and Pull are up there, but they're not. It's not insane. It's just a burr, so it's not that expensive. This one is Ja Low, which is around the same as a bull. Around the same as a burr rune, but it also takes a gull and a Mal, so it's a little more expensive. This is a Ja and a Low as well for ice, so a little bit cheaper. This one is Ja and Zod, so a little bit cheaper if you can find a Zod. And then getting a 4-socketed Wind Force is going to be very tough, especially one that has high ED, and will be very expensive. So Wind Forces on their own without any sockets are not that good compared to the other rune words, but obviously a best in slot item would be probably the Wind Force with perfect sockets and the most amount of enhanced damage, but that's very good. That's going to be very rare to get. So let's take a look at how Wrath performs. So you'll see our sheet damage is 490 to 2000, but with the amplify damage, it's a lot stronger than it appears to be. So you can see that essentially amplify damage is always up on whatever target we're on. And with all of the multi-shot builds, it's never like you're going to be one-shotting these cows. It takes several attacks, but because you're attacking so quick, you know, and you're hitting everything on screen and you're piercing, that's what makes multi-shot so strong, is that it's the safest ability to use, and it's the easiest to hit everything on the screen with. Like, it has the highest range of effect. So, and also in PD2 it's been nerfed a bit. So that's Brand for you. Or sorry, that's Wrath. That's the amp damage one. So next we'll try Brand. So Brand is neat. It has a 50% chance to cast level 50 Bone Spear. So a level 50 Bone Spear will throw out 3 spears from the middle. Bone Spear does magic damage. It always pierces. And level 50 Bone Spear does quite a bit of damage. It's a couple thousand. So even without any synergy. So, you know, it's pretty damn good. Now, also, if you come across an immune, it does have this chance to apply level 20 amp damage when you get hit. So you could go get hit, have it proc, and then, you know, kill an immune. So it's a little wonky, but if you really wanted to, you could. It also has enhanced damage, ignores target defense is really good mod, and you know, it's got 300% damage to demons, which is insane. So it's 600 basically when you're against demons, and 20% deadly strike, as well as knockback. So this one's really good too. Its sheet damage is obviously much higher, but it's a, you know, it's similar in the sense that you can see, okay, so he's immune to physical, but we got hit and it got broken. So that's cool. You can see that the Bone Spears proc pretty often. And again, the procs only count for the center arrows. And yeah, it's very strong as well. It's almost around the same kill speed as the other one. However, again, you're just going to have an issue with physical immunes. So that's the only downside to using the Brand instead of the Wrath. But even if you're against physical immunes, you're doing a lot of magic damage. So because of that, it doesn't really matter if they're immune to physical, because your Bone Spears are going to be proccing and doing quite a bit of damage. So this is a very good bow as well, as you can see. Nothing wrong with it. Next one I want to show you is Ice. So this is the weakest out of them all. Ice has level. Well, let's just show it. Number one, it has a chance to proc Frost Nova. So again, it's only going to proc off the center ones. And it also has a lot of cold damage, and it also gives us the Paladin aura for Holy Freeze. So it's the safest build because everything around you is slowed all the time, and you're pretty much not going to get hit because you'll be able to kite. However, its damage is quite low compared to the others. But as you can see, as I'm attacking this pack here, everything still dies. So it's not like it's bad, but it is the worst out of the bunch, I'd say. So you can see level 18 Holy Freeze, 20% chance to cast level 32 Frost Nova, some attack speed, very low enhanced damage, ignores target defense is nice, minus 20 enemy cold resist is cool, 27 to cold skill damage is cool, and deadly strike. So this is like a cold build. This is not really meant for multi-shot. In another video, I believe when I go to the cold arrow build, you're probably going to be wanting to use this because of the cold pierce. But nonetheless, it's still a option. Next is Zenith. So this is the new PD2 bow. So this is the one that gives you salve aura. So this increases your elemental damage by a little bit. It also gives you, a bunch of resistances, which is great. It gives you 2 to all skills, which is nice, as well as 3 to bow and crossbow skills. So it's 5 to skills, 5 to our multi-shot. So that's really cool. It doesn't increase that damage by much, but it's still something. It has, a decent amount of enhanced defense or enhanced damage, ignores target defense, and then it has this rainbow of fire, lightning, and cold damage. So it's a more well-rounded bow in the sense that it has some defensive capabilities, and it's also doing, elemental damage on hits. It has ignores target defense, and yeah, as you can see, it kills stuff pretty much just as quickly as the other bows did. So if you're really low on resistances, or if you're playing in a party where you don't have a salve aura and you want to, help out in that way, this is definitely a consideration since the damage is almost the same. It's also lower than Brand or Wrath, I believe. So that's something to keep in mind. But yeah, so that's the damage here with Zenith. And then lastly, let's take a look at how Wind Force compares to the others. The Wind Force has the highest sheet damage for sure. And that's also because I'm level 99. Wind Force has a component to it that scales off your level. But otherwise, it has this auto mod of casting Twister, which doesn't really help that much, because Twisters don't do that much damage. But it has, increased attack speed, big enhanced damage, potentially, 30 to max damage, and then more max damage based on your character level. Knockback and some mana steal. The big thing here is that you can get, a ton of sockets, and you can fill it with enhanced damage jewels to really get the damage high up. That's the big incentive to going, Wind Force versus some other bows. But you can see with 4 sockets here, and I had to put a shale in to get to the attack speed cap, and I've got 2 other enhanced damage jewels in there. The damage it's definitely higher. So instead of it taking, I don't know, 3 seconds to kill something, it's now taking 2.5 seconds. But because the attack speed on these bows are so high and the damage is so similar, I'm really not sold on the Wind Fury or on the Wind Force. I think any of the bows will do fine. The Wind Force is clearly, it's better against these cows because the damage is just a little bit higher, but it's lacking so many of the other features that the bows have. So it's really a trade-off for what you want. If you just want max damage for any content, then yes, perfect Wind Force with perfect socket slams going to be a lot of damage. What is this guy? Hellspawn. Oh, it's this event. That's cool. One other thing I wanted to note was we have 20% life leech and 20% mana leech, which is a lot. Wow, this guy is like really killing my dudes here. Eh? So our ability to survive and stay alive is really quite high for a ranged character. Just because when you're multi-shotting and hitting everything on screen, you are going to be pretty much full health all the time. So that's another reason why it's kind of a busted build. Where does this take us? Oh, Throne of Insanity. Neat. So yeah, now that we've got like demons and undead, let's try out um, Wrath again now. So Wrath should outperform in this dungeon because everything's a demon or an undead, and you can see that. Yeah, holy crap, things are dying really quick in here. These Hell Whips have a ton of health. Keep that in mind. And I've also lost my Merc. And my Heart of the Wild. Or Heart of the Wolverine. Yeah, not one of my favorite maps for sure. But anyways, yeah, I'm sold on Wrath. I think it's the best one. It's because it's the most versatile. I think the amp damage is just too much to ignore. Now, if you really wanted amp damage, you could be running a Faith on your on yourself, and you could get the Act 5 Merc with a I think it's the Cranium Basher that has the chance to do a what do you call it? So yeah, this guy is Stone Skin. Okay, there we go. Broke it there. So yeah, that's pretty much all there is to say about the Multishot physical bow Amazon build. It's very strong. It's going to get stronger in Season 5. This is something that's been historically nerfed in the private server versions of the game. So it's interesting to see that they're going to be buffing it.